Alright, type 1 fractions are basic. This is not mixed numbers and no whole numbers. It's just one top over one bottom times one top over one bottom. And you multiply your tops together. 1 times 1 is 1. And you multiply the bottoms together. 2 times 3 is 6. And of course I did it again. You can't reduce, but if you can, you should. Alright, another example that can be reduced. I tried. It's 3/5 times 4/6. Now we're going to talk about this 4/6 here in a second. 4 times 3 is 12. And that's top times top. And we're still on basic fractions. And then if you have bottom times bottom, you get 5 times 6, and that's 30. Now this can be reduced, and since it can, it should. We can divide the top and the bottom by 3. That would be 4, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. Now we can divide everything by 2. Top times divided by 2, bottom divided by 2. That's 2 over 5, and that is as small as this one gets. So if you can reduce, you should reduce. Alright, let's revisit this fraction. I've backed it up, and I want to show you a shortcut. This 4/6 can be reduced. 3/5 cannot, so I'm going to keep 3/5 the same, and I'm going to reduce 4/6. 4 and 6 can both be divided by 2, so I'm going to get 2 over 3. So if I do 3/5 times 2/3, I'm going to get top times top is 6, bottom times bottom is 15. I still have to reduce because I can, so I should. Top and bottom can both be divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Did we get the same answer? We should have. I hope so. Alright, type 2 fractions. These are the tricky ones. They're mixed numbers, which means there's a whole number and a fraction times, it can be a regular fraction, but for this we're going to practice with another whole number and a fraction. The first thing you have to do if you're looking at your notes is go around the world. So you have 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 3 is 13. And we keep the bottom number the same. This is our top number, and now this is our bottom number. So we have 13 over 5. We're going to do it again over here on the right. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. This is my top number, and this stays on the bottom. So I have 16 over 5. Now, I'm multiplying still. That hasn't changed. And now I'm going to do top times top, which is 13 times 6. I'm going to work it out. I don't know it in my head. 13 times 16. 6 times 3 is 18. That's 6 and 7. Put a 0. 3. And that's 1. Add it up. This is 8. That's 10. And that's 2. So we have 208. And that's 25. This is a relatively ridiculous problem, and I'm not done, but I'm going to take a break for a second. Alright, I just needed more space. I was running out of room. So I have 208, and I'm dividing by 25. So some relatively huge multiplication here, but I know that 25 is like a quarter. So how many quarters does it take to make $2? Well, that's 8 quarters. So 8 times 25, that would be 40. That's 16. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 200. Subtract. I have 8. Oh, wait, stop. Remember what we said. We stop here because we want a fraction. I almost put a decimal and kept going. I don't need to. I take this 8 and I bring it up, put 8 up on top, and I keep the bottom number the same. I'm going to keep this 25. So I have 8 and 8 over 25, or 8 and 8 25ths. Now 8 over 25, can it be reduced? Alright, after much deliberation, I have decided that 8 over 25 cannot be reduced, even though it really feels like it can be. It can't. So 8 and 8 25ths is my final answer. Now let's do another practice one. Alright, we're going to do one more mixed number. We're going to shake it up and we're going to do something a little crazy. 2 and 1/5 times 3 over 7. Now, it's a mixed number because I have this fraction right here. 2 and 1/5 is a mixed number. So I have to go around the world. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Keep the same bottom number, 11 over 5. And the 3/7 stays the same. 3 over 7. Multiply. Alright, 11 times 3, top times top is 33. 5 times 7 is 35. And let's see if we can reduce. Alright, it looks like I actually can't reduce again. I just have the best luck. So here we go. 33 over 35. This looks like our answer. Now let's move on to the next steps. Alright, this is the last type of fractions we're going to talk about. And this is type 3. And this is when we have a whole number. I'm going to use the pound sign for whole number, or the hashtags. Alright, a whole number is when you have a number and there is no bottom number. But now what we talked about in class was that underneath every whole number is this invisible 1. So if I were to back up, and I have 5 times 4/5. Okay? I can't multiply 5 times 4/5 without putting my invisible 1 underneath it. I'm going to put my invisible 1. Now I have a basic fraction. I can multiply top times top, which is 20. 5 times 4 is 20. And I can multiply bottom times bottom. 5 times 1 is 5. And now 20 divided by 5. Well, that comes out really nice. We can do 20 inside the box because he's the top dog. Norman goes in the box. 5 goes outside the box. We know that 5 goes into 20 4 even times. 4 times 5 is 20, if I wanted to go ahead and work it out. So my answer here is 4. And that came out nice and neat. Let's see if we can do one that's a little more tricky. Alright, what happens if we have a mixed number thrown in with our whole numbers? If we have 2 times 3 and 2/5. We have our whole number. We have to put an invisible 1 underneath our whole numbers. And what do we do when we have mixed numbers? We go around the world. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17, and we keep the bottom number the same. So my problem is now 2 over 1, which I got from over here, times 15 over 17. I'm sorry, 17 over 5. There we go. And now I have basic fractions. I can multiply top times top. 17 times 2, that's 14. That's 3, so I have 34 on top. Times bottom, bottoms. 1 times 5 is 5. I cannot leave it this way. If I can reduce, I should. So I'm going to put 34 in the box, divided by 5. I know that the closest I can get to 34 is 6, because 7 times 5 is 35. So 6 times 5 is 30, and I subtract, and I have 4 left over. I do not want a decimal. I take my remainder, I bring it upstairs, and the remainder goes over the same bottom number. 6 4/5. And that is my answer. And that's pretty much as hard as it gets.